Happy Monday, Antelope Valley. I hope everyone's doing well and that you had a pleasant weekend. I'm Mark Troth, broker and co-owner of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Troth Realtors, right here in Lancaster, California, bringing you this week's version of the Antelope Valley Real Estate Market Update, where week in and week out, we take a look at exactly what's going on in our local real estate market. I feel it's important that residents, potential buyers and sellers here in the Antelope Valley have a trusted local resource to go to follow along with exactly what's going on in our local real estate market. Often our statistics get put in with greater Los Angeles County, Southern California, and as experience has shown, our market is definitely unique unto itself. So that's why I feel that this is so important. Prior to getting into our statistics for the week, I'd also like to point out that they are courtesy of the Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtors MLS system. And so we're going to get going into statistics, but if you happen to hear the sound of waves in the background, Jody and I are taking a few days off with our four oldest grandkids. We are actually down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, sitting overlooking the Gulf of America. And so those are the waves that you're hearing in the background. So hopefully it doesn't drown me out too much. But if I was to try to record this video inside where the 11, 8, 7, and 6-year-old, it'd be far more noisy than the sound of the waves. So let's get going into our statistics. Also, make sure you follow along to the end. I've got some additional information that I'm going to be putting out. So our active listings took a pretty good jump, 6% up in 1 week, and we have crested over 1,000. We're at 1,006. So remember that the typical Antelope Valley market pre-pandemic was somewhere between 13 to 1,500 residential properties on the market. So are we going to start approaching that level? We could by the end of summer, depending on how many homes come on the market and how many don't go into escrow. So we'll definitely, as I say, follow along. Pending listing, those properties under contract in escrow, down 1.7% to 428 from 433. Our week over week statistics, the week of 6/8 through yesterday, 6/14. As I said, new listings took a healthy jump, 127. Second week in a row, we've seen over a 20% increase in new listings coming on the market week over week. So that's 22.1% up from last week's number of 104. Median list price just a tick up to 499. So still sticking under 500. We are missing a zero out of that number, but it is 499, not 499. So anyway, sorry about that. New properties into escrow last week, and this is a little bit concerning, down from 73 last week to 63 this week, 13.7% down. Our buyers a little bit hesitant with what's going on in the market right now. They just don't seem to have a lot of urgency, waiting for the right deal to come along. And then during the course of escrow, being real particular on those requests for repairs and so on. So hopefully maybe with the news this morning that tensions overseas may be coming to an end. Maybe we'll start to see some downward pressure on interest rates, oil prices, and start to see that new into escrow climb as buyers regain some confidence. Median days on the market down 3 to 26. So once again, just a quick explanation on that. What that reflects and shows me is that those buyers that are in the market, they're just waiting for that right home to come along. And when something comes along that's in good condition, priced right, good location, they're not afraid to make the move on it. So that's kind of reflective of that median number of days on the market of 26. Listings that closed escrow last week, 60. That's down 9.1% from the previous week when we were at 66. Median sales price down 6% to 440,000. Our absorption rate of overall, no change. This is about the third, fourth week in a row that we've been sticking right at that 3.4 month area. And this is for all listings. 106 active listings, that number at the top divided by the 297, the number of closings over the last 30 days gave us that absorption rate of 3.4%. So absorption rate, important to follow along. That basically, anytime you're below 3 months of inventory on the market, meaning that it would take 3 months for all those 1,006 listings to go away. You're in a seller's type of market. Closer it gets, the lower it gets, more of a seller's market. Between 3 to 6 months, you're in a balanced market. Both buyers and sellers need to show some flexibility. And anytime you're over 6 months, you're definitely a buyer's market. Statistics I started following last week was, what is the absorption rate of properties over 600,000 in the Antelope Valley? And right now we have 282 active listings, 600 and higher, 61 sales over the last 30 days. So that absorption rate is 4.6 months. So you could definitely see as we start to climb higher and higher that absorption rate does tend to increase. And then, you know what, I get a lot of questions about, God, are we facing a market crash? You know, are we starting to see bank-owned properties referred to as REOs, real estate owned? Are we starting to see short pays? And so I ran some statistics that you may find interesting. So right now, through the Greater Antelope Valley MLS, there are 16 REOs on the market, which equal 1.6% of all listings. There's basically 11 short pays, which represent 1.1% of all listings. So between REO and short pays, you're about 2.7% of the overall market, which to me basically doesn't indicate that we're at this point in time heading into really any danger territory as far as what our market's doing. And that number those numbers of number of REOs and short pays would have to increase quite a bit before we see some kind of concern that maybe we've hit a bubble or something like that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap for this week's Antelope Valley Real Estate Market Update. But as always, if there's any more information we can provide you, by all means, do not hesitate to reach out. Always here for you, and always will be since 1957, serving the Antelope Valley Real Estate Market. All right, everybody, take care. Make it a great week. And to all the dads out there, happy upcoming Father's Day this Sunday. All righty, bye-bye.